I'm a self-made entrepreneur and a technologist, however. For those of you who don't know me, I run a digital media website called fark.com. The best description I can give of what Fark is what if The Daily Show ran the Drudge Report. My wife Heather and I have owned and operated this company and run it out of our house for the past 16 years, propelling ourselves into legendary status in Silicon Valley. Millions of people have visited my website. Most people who are busy have not heard of it, I've discovered. If you like to waste time, you probably already know about it. But busy people have not, so for those people who this is the first time they've heard of it, you may be interested to know that Fark has been a category on Jeopardy twice, and once during the Tournament of Champions, and I recommend checking the YouTube video out of that because it's pretty neat. Prior to that, my first company was Frankfurt's first internet service provider, founded in February of 1996, and it lasted 6 years, and it was actually in an office building right over there. I have spent a lot of time in Frankfurt. My experience with state government, it is the only job I held in my entire life for 9 months out of college before I started my first business. And my dad worked for the public defender's office for almost his entire life. And every snow day that we ever had, I ended up spending in the public defender's office in Frankfurt, hanging out and talking to state employees and finding out what this is all about. So I've been around it quite a bit. And I actually unofficially assisted them with technology issues back in the early 90s also, just because I happened to be there and I was going to school. So, it seemed like the thing to do. I'm entering this race because I can't sit back anymore and let this continue. The time to start fixing things is now, and I've got over 9,000 signatures. I was told to say almost 10. I'm going to hedge just in case because I don't like overestimating, but I've got the signatures. We only need 5. So far in this campaign, we've heard no actual solutions and very little about Kentucky's actual problems. Jack Conway has yet to say no to any question beginning with the words, "Would you fund this?" And Matt Bevin can't remember what his policy positions are 20 minutes after he says them. Here are the real problems. Number 1, Kentucky's underfunded pension system is on track to bankrupt the state by 2018 at the soonest. We need a more specific jobs plan to provide incentives, more specific than provide incentives and provide training. And furthermore, there was no budget surplus this year. There was money put into the rainy day fund by the administration after they swept it out of the Kentucky employees' health insurance. It's called a fund transfer, and apparently this is what they do when they can't figure out how to pay for the laws that they pass. That has to end. I can't figure out why either of the other party candidates is such a rush to be the sitting governor whose administration will go down in history as having presided over the biggest statewide economic collapse in recorded history. You may ask, why do I want to do it? Well, that's because I can fix it. On my website, drewcurtis.com, the campaign website, I've provided a highly detailed potential solution to the Kentucky pension problem, along with a 3-page spreadsheet for anybody who likes math as much as I do, and there's not many people. I came up with this plan by doing something that politicians generally never do. I went and I asked people who knew what the problem was how to fix it. And then I added my own twist. And the short version is that it calls for a bond structured as a line of credit so that in the off chance we get lucky and don't actually need to use it, we don't spend any money on interest. But I can go into great ludicrous detail on that later if you care. It's true that Matt Bevin wants to take Kentucky back to the 19th century, but it is also true that Jack Conway wants to take us back to the 20th. If elected, I can leapfrog us into the 21st century. Kentucky has immense potential. We know government doesn't work for us, and we're willing to do whatever it takes to change this. Kentucky is eager for new ideas. 8,000 signatures. Part of the problem with party politics is that neither party has a monopoly on the good ideas. As an independent, I am the only candidate who can listen to both sides and acknowledge that both Democrats and Republicans have some ideas worth considering. Some people say an independent can't win. The established parties are praying that everyone continues to believe that, because that is the only thing that can stop me. If everyone who ever said government does not work for me comes out and votes in November, I will win in a landslide. And that's a fact. I travel to Silicon Valley and New York all the time, and quite often I get asked, why don't you live in Silicon Valley or New York City given what you do? And I live here not just because I was born here. And it's not that I couldn't move away. I love this state. I have friends who tell me that I like the place I live in more than anybody they have ever met. I evangelize Kentucky to Silicon Valley at every opportunity, and they are deeply curious to come and see what's going on out here. I love living here, I love raising my family here, and I love basing my company here as well. Kentucky is ready to try something new, please allow me to help make Kentucky better. Thank you. And I'll take all the questions you got.